Yesterday at the White House, President Trump sat down with ABC's Terry Moran in what was supposed to be another mainstream media ambush. Instead of landing their usual gotcha moments, Moran watched as his loaded questions about authoritarianism and personal revenge backfired spectacularly. The president systematically dismantled every accusation, turning their own tactics against them. But what happened off camera after the interview might be even more revealing. The reaction from ABC's team tells you everything about why Americans don't trust mainstream media anymore, so don't go anywhere. Now, watching mainstream media's constant attacks on truth can raise anyone's blood pressure, but here's what they don't want you to know. Managing your blood pressure naturally is possible. Like President Trump taking control of hostile interviews, you can take control of your health. Our revolutionary formula combines white mulberry leaf and cinnamon bark powder, clinically proven to help regulate blood pressure and support heart health. While the media tries to stress you out, stay calm and healthy naturally. Visit boostwithgary.com and save up to 40% on our special formula. That's boostwithgary.com. Okay, we got some breaking news direct from the White House Inside Circle. ABC, they tried to ambush, but Donald Trump, what did he do? He flipped the script on live TV. Moran's talking points shattered by sealed border, falling inflation, Putin backpedaling. We've got the unfiltered counterstrike analysis in today's report. So let's get right into it here. We've got it all queued up, and let's see. Now with ABC's Terry Moran. Good evening, America. Gary Franchi here, reporting from just outside the White House for the Next News Network. President Donald Trump sat down with ABC's Terry Moran yesterday, and what should have been a substantive discussion about the president's accomplishments quickly turned into yet another mainstream media ambush. Yes, we've got all of the clips lined up, so let's get right into it. Here is Moran going straight for the authoritarian accusation just minutes into the interview.
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe. I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Notice the framing here. He doesn't ask if Trump is seizing power. He starts with the assumption that he is. Classic media manipulation tactic. Embed your accusation in the question itself. Now, President Trump pushed back immediately, explaining that he's simply making America great again after years of incompetent leadership. But Moran wasn't finished. He continued his attack pattern with another loaded question about the president's motives. Take a look.
Are you using your powers as president to get personal revenge?
No, I'll tell you what you're really not asking, and you should be asking. There has never been a president in this country, in the history, that was persecuted like I was persecuted by really crooked people, dishonest, horrible people, and it's been proven. So when you say I'm treating people rough, I'm not treating people rough. I was treated worse than any president in the history of our country. And people figured, well, maybe that's it. Finally, we got, he's leaving town. There goes the helicopter. And then I came back. And I came back because I have tremendous support. When you win an election like I won it, and you will admit I won all 7 swing states. I won the popular vote. I won 2,750 districts compared to 500 districts. That's why the map is all red. And those people feel that I was treated unfairly.
Personal revenge? This isn't journalism. It's character assassination disguised as a question. Trump correctly pointed out that no president in American history has been persecuted the way that he was, by what he calls really crooked people, dishonest, horrible people. But let's talk about the real issues. Here's how Moran tries to undermine the president's remarkable success at the border. Watch.
And as you said, it is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods. And so I want to ask
About my message?
Methods. About your methods. How you're accomplishing
They seem to
this.
work.
Did you catch that pivot? Undeniable success, but always a but with these people. They can't simply acknowledge that President Trump has accomplished exactly what he promised, securing our border after years of chaos under Biden. Instead, Moran immediately moves to cast suspicion on methods as if he's enforcing our laws is somehow sinister. Now, the president was trying to explain the unprecedented scale, though, of the problem that he inherited. Take a look.
And all I can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law
Give
is the
21
law,
million?
sir. The law is the law, and you're
the law
sworn
doesn't
to
say anything
uphold it.
about trials.
No, not trials, hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came in, they're not citizens. They came in illegally. They came into our country
Right.
illegally.
And
We
there's-
have to get them out.
There's a legal process for that.
I can't, sure, and we follow the legal process. I can't have a trial, a major
I'm
trial
not
for
saying
every
major.
person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out,
They're
and we have to
bad
get them
guys,
out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay.
There it is again, interrupting to lecture the president about due process for people who entered our country illegally. 21 million illegal immigrants, many of them dangerous criminals, and Moran's concerned about giving each one a 2-week trial? This shows the complete disconnect between the media elite and the concerns of everyday Americans. Now, President Trump also highlighted the criminals that were allowed to pour into our country. Watch.
What's the one thing, just one thing, that you think is the most significant thing you've done so far in these 100 days?
Well, I think maybe border is the most significant because our country was really going bad. They were allowing people to come in from prisons, as you know, and you've heard me say it, but you've heard a lot of people say it. Prisons, mental institutions, gang members, murderers. We had many murderers, 11,888, they think. Some murdered more than one person. So you had murderers coming in, you had everybody coming in, and not just South America, from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons into our country. And now it's totally closed down. And you've seen just yesterday, they announced 99.9%. Nobody thought that could happen. And it happened quickly, very quickly. And I think that's very significant. But we're doing other things that are very significant. Results will take a little bit longer because it's one of those, you know, it's complicated. It's many years of trading abuse. We've been abused by other countries for years and years. They laughed at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we're fixing it. And I think that's going to be very, very important. But I
You have a lot of ground to cover.
yeah, I would really say that the border is so important.
That's the reality Americans were living with. Dangerous criminals walking our streets because the previous administration refused to secure our border. But you won't hear ABC focus on that. They'd rather nitpick and undermine the president who's actually fixing the problem. Now, the interview wasn't just about immigration. Terry Moran also tried to play gotcha on economic issues. Watch this.
Don't your tariffs cut against that promise you made to bring prices down?
No, because I had massive tariffs on China, if you remember, in my first term, and we had essentially no inflation, like around 1% inflation, which is like a perfect number. And then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. It went to probably the worst inflation we've ever had. I mean, we had an inflation nightmare. Now, if you look at what's happening now, we're only there for 100 days, as you say. And in 100 days, we took over. We had bad inflation for 4 years, for 2 years of, especially 2 years of his administration. I would say record-setting like we've never seen. They say 48 years, the worst in 48 years. I say it was much worse than that.
Yeah.
Right. So now if you look at what's happened, energy is down. Gasoline hit $1.98 in a few states during the last couple of days. It was $3.50 and $4 and $4.50. But gasoline is way down. When I took over, you remember the big thing with eggs. They hit me the first week. Eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't cause this problem. This problem was caused by Biden. What's the problem with eggs? And they said, they've doubled. And well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved.
A lot of that is
and
bird
by the way,
flu,
and there
right?
were plenty of eggs for Easter, which we just went through. There were plenty of eggs for Easter. They were saying you won't have enough eggs for Easter. My secretary did a fantastic job on eggs. Groceries are down. Everything's down.
Okay.
Interest rates are the same. Interest rates should be down, but we have a Federal Reserve that wants to be stubborn. They want to be
All right,
cute.
we'll get to that.
This is classic misdirection. As President Trump explained in his response during his first term, we had tariffs on China with minimal inflation around 1%. It was under Biden that we saw record-breaking inflation hurting American families. Now, the president, he's working to fix that disaster, but Moran wants to pretend tariffs are the problem, not the solution. Now, let's take a look at another example of Moran's bias when discussing inflation.
So your answer to the concern about the tariffs is everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Everything's going to be just fine. It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this. I had a choice. I could leave it, have a nice, easy time, but I think ultimately you would have had an implosion. Our country had inflation that was worse than they've ever had it before. You don't mention that. Why don't you mention that? We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. People say 48 years. Probably in the history of our country, we had the worst inflation. And people were dying over the inflation. You know that. Now the grocery prices are coming down. The energy prices are coming down. Gasoline's coming down. It's all heading in the right direction.
That's not a question. That's mockery. The president was explaining how his policies are already bringing down prices after years of Biden-era inflation. And Moran responds with this condescending nonsense. This is what passes for journalism at ABC. Now, President Trump, he also explained how his administration is already rebuilding America's standing in the world. Watch.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
President Trump is exactly right. Under the previous administration, America was a laughingstock. Our enemies didn't fear us, and our allies couldn't trust us. Now, just 100 days in, we're already seeing a return to strength and respect on the world stage. Now, look at the situation in Ukraine. Another mess that President Trump inherited. Watch.
I want to turn, I was just in Rome, and to that moving photograph of you and President Zelensky sitting in St. Peter's Basilica talking peace. It went around the world.
Sure.
Take us into that moment.
Well, look, the Ukraine is a very serious, very tough situation. And this is Biden's war. This is not my war, but I want to see if I can solve it, because probably close to 5,000 young soldiers a week are being killed, Russian and Ukrainian. We also spend a tremendous amount of money in Ukraine, and Europe should be spending much more than us. They're not. They're spending much less. It's been badly handled by the Biden administration. It's been badly handled all the way around, the way around.
That moment.
The moment was a moment of solace, in a sense, because tremendous numbers of people are dying. A lot of his people are dying. They're being killed. And I feel very badly about it. I feel very badly about it. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. It was never even a thought of it happening.
The president is exactly right. This war would never have happened on his watch, and didn't for 4 years. But after the Biden administration's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, Putin saw weakness and took advantage. Now President Trump is working to clean up yet another mess that he inherited. Through the entire interview, we see the same pattern again and again. A hostile interviewer starting with a loaded question, interrupting, lecturing, and trying to frame every answer in the worst possible light. This is why Americans don't trust the mainstream media anymore. They're not interested in giving you information. They're interested in telling you what to think. They don't report news. They manufacture narratives. Now, President Trump, he's accomplished remarkable things in his first 100 days. The border is secure for the first time in years. Prices are starting to come down. America is respected on the world stage again. But you won't hear about these successes from ABC or any other legacy media outlets. They're too busy trying to tear them down. That is why independent media, like the Next News Network right here at the White House, is more important than ever. We're going to continue to bring you the facts without the spin, the agenda, or the bias. This is Gary Franchi reporting from just outside the White House. Stay vigilant, America. Now, what we saw in the White House interview exposed everything wrong with mainstream media journalism. Terry Moran came armed with gotcha questions and hidden agendas, but left with a lesson in real journalism. And here's what we need to ask ourselves. When did the mainstream media stop reporting news and start manufacturing narratives? When did they decide their job was to attack rather than to inform? Share your thoughts below on this remarkable interview. Did you catch all the moments where Trump turned their own tactics against him? And speaking of support, make sure you head on over to our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and grab a shirt or a hat and show the world where you get your real news.